In 1979, a plumber named Gary Mosbach installed a 40-gallon A.O. Smith water heater in a house in Dayton, Ohio. The homeowner's daughter told us that her father's water heater ran for 31 years with no repairs. When they finally replaced it in 2010, it was not because it failed. It was because they remodeled the basement. The water heater sitting in your utility room right now will not last 10 years. If you bought it after 2015, national repair data says you have roughly 7 years before it either leaks, fails to heat, or becomes so corroded that no plumber will touch it. When that day comes, the repairman will hand you a quote for a new unit instead of fixing the old one, because the new one is designed so fixing it costs more than replacing it. In this investigation, we are going to expose the engineering crimes hiding inside the modern water heater industry. We will look at the sacrificial anode scam, the glass lining fraud, and the heat pump mandate that has turned your hot water supply into a $4,000 appliance with a 7-year lifespan. At the end, we will show you the only 3 brands that still build water heaters the old way. The first villain is the sacrificial anode rod, and most homeowners have never heard of it. Inside every tank water heater is a metal rod, usually magnesium or aluminum, that hangs down into the water. Its entire job is to corrode. It sacrifices itself to protect the steel walls of the tank from rusting. In the old days, this rod was accessible. You unscrewed it from the top of the tank, pulled it out, looked at it, and if it had corroded down to a thin wire, you drove to the hardware store and bought a new one for $20. Replacing the anode rod every 4 to 6 years could extend the life of a water heater to 25 or 30 years. It was simple, cheap maintenance that any homeowner could do on a Saturday afternoon. Manufacturers figured out this was a problem for their business model, so they started making the anode rod inaccessible. They buried it under a plastic cover that requires a specialized socket to reach. They reduced the rod diameter so it corrodes faster. On some models, they eliminated the separate anode entirely and combined it with the hot water outlet pipe in a design so integrated that even experienced plumbers struggle to replace it without voiding the warranty. The result is that most homeowners never touch the anode rod. They do not know it exists. And after 7 or 8 years, the rod is gone. The tank walls start to rust from the inside, and sediment builds up on the bottom until the tank fails. They engineered the maintenance out of the product to force a replacement cycle. The second crime is what the industry calls the glass lining. It sounds like a feature. It is not. Steel tanks rust. This has always been true. The solution the industry developed in the early 20th century was to coat the inside of the steel tank with a layer of porcelain enamel, essentially glass. This created a barrier between the water and the steel. It worked. Early glass-lined tanks lasted for decades. But glass has one fatal weakness: thermal expansion. Every time cold water enters the tank and the burner fires up, the steel expands with heat. Every time you draw hot water and cold water rushes in, the steel contracts. This happens dozens of times every single day. In the old tanks, the glass lining was thick and carefully applied. It could handle this thermal cycling for 20 or 25 years before microcracks developed. In the modern tank, manufacturers have thinned the lining to reduce manufacturing costs. The coating is applied faster at lower temperatures and with less quality control. The microcracks develop in 5 to 7 years instead of 20. Once the lining cracks, the water touches the steel. The rust begins. The anode rod, if it is still intact, tries to fight it. But once rust gets a foothold behind a cracked glass lining, there is no recovering it. Sediment builds up on the tank floor. The heating element burns hotter trying to push heat through the sediment layer. Energy costs rise. The tank starts to make a rumbling, popping noise. Plumbers call it kettling. And then one day, it leaks. Not from a fitting you can replace, from the tank itself. The tank is a total loss. The third and most expensive engineering crime is the heat pump mandate. For most of the 20th century, water heaters were simple: a gas burner or an electric element heated water. That was it. The machine had one moving part, a thermostat, and could be serviced by any plumber in the country with a basic toolkit. In 2015, the Department of Energy introduced new efficiency regulations. Any electric water heater with a tank larger than 55 gallons had to meet a higher efficiency standard that a traditional electric element simply could not achieve. The solution manufacturers chose was the heat pump water heater. Instead of directly heating water with an electric element, a heat pump water heater pulls heat from the surrounding air, like a refrigerator in reverse, and transfers it into the water. In terms of pure energy efficiency, it works. It uses roughly half the electricity of a traditional element. But they took a machine with one moving part and turned it into a machine with a compressor, refrigerant lines, an evaporator coil, a fan motor, and a circuit board, all of which can fail independently. We have spoken to plumbers across the country who say the same thing. The heat pump unit takes twice as long to heat water. It makes noise like a window air conditioner running in your utility room. It pulls heat from the air around it, which means in a cold basement in January, it struggles. And when the compressor fails, which it will because compressors always fail eventually, the repair quote is $800 to $1,200 on a unit that costs $1,600 new. The repairman looks at you and says the same phrase: "It is not worth fixing." They took the simplest appliance in your home and made it as complicated as a central air conditioning system. So what actually works? The answer is to find the manufacturers who have refused to follow the industry downward. The first name is Bradford White. They are not the cheapest option, and they do not advertise during the Super Bowl. Bradford White is a privately owned company based in Ambler, Pennsylvania. They still manufacture in the United States. Their standard gas tank water heaters use a thicker glass lining process called vitraglass that they have maintained since the 1950s. More importantly, their anode rod is accessible from the top of the tank, with a standard 1 1/16 inch socket. This one fact separates them from the field. If you can maintain the anode rod, you can double the life of the tank. Plumbers who work on volume, the ones installing units in new construction every single week, choose Bradford White for their own homes. That is the only endorsement that matters. The second name is Rheem, but only the commercial line, not the residential units you see at big box stores. The commercial Rheem units are built to a different specification. They are designed to run continuously in hotels and apartment buildings. The steel gauge is heavier. The anode rod system is accessible. And because they are designed for commercial environments, the parts are standardized and widely available. A plumber in rural Nebraska can get a part for a commercial Rheem water heater, faster than for any residential smart unit on the market. When you are shopping, ask specifically for the commercial series. If the store only stocks residential units, find a plumbing supply house. The third name is State Water Heaters, specifically their power vent line. State is less well known than the first two, but they have maintained a reputation among licensed plumbers for building a consistently repairable product. Their anode rod is accessible. Their thermostat is a mechanical unit that can be replaced without calling a technician. Their warranty service is backed by an actual parts inventory, not a call center that tells you the part has been discontinued. All three of these brands share one characteristic that the marketing brands do not. They sell primarily to plumbers and contractors,
not to homeowners walking into a home improvement store. That matters because plumbers are repeat customers. They are professionals who will stop recommending a brand the moment it starts failing on their clients. The brands that survive in that market have to build a product that actually works. Here is the truth. The water heater industry does not want you to understand. A water heater is the simplest machine in your house. Cold water comes in. Gas or electricity heats it. Hot water goes out. The only things that can go wrong are corrosion, sediment, and component failure. All three of these are manageable with basic maintenance if the machine is designed to allow it. The modern residential water heater is specifically designed to prevent that maintenance. The anode rod is hidden. The glass lining is thin. The heat pump compressor is too expensive to repair. They have taken a machine that your grandfather could have serviced with a crescent wrench and turned it into a $1,600 appliance with a planned lifespan of 7 years. They are not selling you hot water. They are renting it to you on a subscription you never agreed to. Flush your tank twice a year to clear sediment. Replace the anode rod every 5 years. Buy from a brand that sells to plumbers, not to consumers. If a plumber tells you it is not worth fixing, do not let him sell you a heat pump unit. Ask him to order you a Bradford White, because the most expensive water heater you will ever own is the one you have to replace every 7 years for the rest of your life. If you want to know which other appliances in your home have been engineered to fail the same way, watch this video next.